All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Well, my name's Mikey. I'll give a couple minutes and then I'll do an intro of who I am. But hope you're having a good morning so far. Good morning, guys. I like all the waves. I appreciate the high fives. Waves? High fives? I don't know which. We're going to go with the waves. I hope y'all are having a great Friday. It's Friday today, so that's exciting. Well, hello there, Shumanator. Probably the best name I've seen. It's awesome. Give another minute or so, and we'll give another minute or so, and we'll get started on day 13 of our prayer and fasting, which I'm praying is going well for everyone, and I'm hoping, and the fast has been enlightening, and God's been really speaking to you. That's been my experience, and so I'm hoping that that's also y'all's. And as you've gone through the it's just day by day and just the different routines that you have for yourself, I think it's been good to kind of start this year out this way. So, all right, well, let's go ahead and get started. I got a couple things that I've been just kind of really working through myself this year, and I feel like He kind of gave me a word for the year. And so I know a lot of you may have your own word that you use and that you kind of are setting up your year based on this word. And so for me, the word has been enough, just the word, just simply enough. And so I feel like God's, as I've been kind of seeking him and as I've been kind of praying and just saying, okay, God, what does this mean? What does this look like? What is this all about? He's given me a couple different kind of I guess ways that this explains to myself. And so one of them is simply that this idea that I'm not enough. And at first when I started to hear this and I started to kind of pray about this, I was like, man, God, that's kind of harsh. Like that breaks my heart that I'm not enough. And I felt like he was saying over and over, he's like, you're not enough, and that's okay. Like, that's okay that you're not enough. And I think that for so long, like I would just get so scared of the idea of not being enough that I would just lie to myself, or I would trick myself, or I would just avoid any situation that I was not enough, and whatever that may be, whether that was talent or skills or personality or finances or whatever it may be. If I was in my mind not enough, then I just would avoid that. And I feel like God was kind of revealing and showing me that he's like, I feel like you're missing out on so much of life if that's the parameter that you're going to go in. If you're going to go into life just thinking, I'm only going to do things that I'm enough in, then it's going to eliminate so much of our life. And so I was reading in Luke chapter 22, verse 35. And this is when Jesus had just had his final Last Supper with his disciples. He had just been betrayed. And he is speaking to his disciples, and he says this. He says in verse 35, "Then Jesus asked them, 'When I sent you without a purse, bag, or sandals, did you lack anything?'" And so Jesus is asking his disciples, and he's saying to his disciples, he's saying, early on in their ministry, he said, go without a purse, leave your bag, leave your sandals, go. And he says, I'll take care of everything else. I will take care of it all. You just go. And he's saying to his disciples now at the end of his ministry, at the end of what he knows is going to be his life on earth, he's saying, did you guys lack anything? at all? Did you lack anything at all when I sent you?" And his disciples responded, "Nothing, absolutely nothing." And I feel like this is such a prayer for us as we are working through this prayer and fasting, as we're moving through this 21 days of prayer fasting. We're on 13. We're kind of in the midst. We're on the downslope, so we're coming into the last 8 days or so, and and I think for some of us, this fear of not being enough is robbing us of God doing the impossible through us. And so the prayer for some of us is that what are those areas in your life that you know you're not enough in, that you know that you're not enough, but God's still calling you to do it. My challenge to you is to today begin to say, God, what am I not enough? And give me the energy and the strength to just step into that, even though I know that I'm not enough. I know that I'm not enough, and that's okay, and that's good, and that's great, because in those moments, God begins to do the miraculous. He does the miracles, and He does the crazy stuff that we can never experience on our own. He says, "When did you lack anything when I sent you out? When did you lack a single thing?" And the disciples, for 3 years, they did ministry with him. For 3 years, they walked with him, and they experienced that. And they said, "We never lacked a thing, nothing." Even though they didn't have what they needed, they didn't bring with them their sandals. They didn't bring with them their purses. They didn't have the money to do it. They didn't have whatever it may be. They didn't have enough to do it. And Jesus still said, "What did you lack? Nothing." So this is one thing. This is one area of this idea, this word of enough, that I feel like God was really challenging me with, is just being comfortable in the place of knowing that I'm not enough, and that God is enough, and that Jesus is more than enough, and that Jesus is everything that I need, and that's okay. And so and so just be praying about what is that impossible thing that I know that I can't do on my own, and begin to step into it. The next area is the next kind of avenue that I feel like God's been really challenging me with this word of enough is those areas where I am enough. I think that's just as scary for me. Like I think it's sometimes it's easier for me, and I feel like right now this is the place that God's been challenging me with, is that I think sometimes it's easier for me to be just kind of comfortable in the okay, God, you're gonna have to come through. God, you're gonna have to come through in a miraculous way, because I know I'm not enough, and so I need you to do this. But then on the other side, it's when I realize that God has given me enough, and God has made me enough, and I'm just too afraid to step into it. And so this next area is those things that I know that God's put in my heart, and put in my mind, and put in my life, that I do know that I'm enough, and that He's given me what I need, but I'm afraid to step into, because I'm just afraid. I'm just scared. I'm just scared of the work that it's going to take. I'm scared of what of failing. I'm scared of whatever that may be, and so I get held up even by that fact of knowing that, yeah, I'm enough. I got it. I could do this, but I'm just afraid to do it. Continuing in that same verse, 22, Jesus is still talking to them, and so He's still having the same conversation with them, and saying, the disciples respond in verse 35, nothing, they answered. And then in verse 36, Jesus says, "But now," and so He's changing, and He's saying, before I was saying, don't bring anything with you. Don't take anything with you. He says, I want you to see that when you're not enough, I'm going to be enough for you. But now He's saying, but now, if you have a purse, take it, and also a bag. If you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. He's saying, now I want you to take with you what you have. I want you to walk with what you do have already. What's in your hand, bring it with you. If you don't have a sword, go buy a sword. Go get a sword, because we're moving into a new season. He's saying, before I wanted you to see that when you weren't enough, I'm enough for you. Now I want you to see that when you have what you need, I'm still enough for you. And so He says, he says 36, but now if you have a purse, take it, and also a bag. And if you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one. And then jump down to verse 38. The disciples said, "See, Lord, here are 2 swords." And Jesus' response is, "That's enough. That's enough. What you have, who you are, what you bring to the table is enough." And God's saying, when you bring what you have, he says, "I'm still enough for you." And so I love these two things that God's been really challenging me with this year, of just saying that it's okay to not be enough, and it's okay to be enough. And he says, in the end, Jesus still plays the same role of actually being the sustainer and the enoughness in our life. And so this morning, as we go through our Friday, as we go through our weekend, we're going into the weekend. My prayer is that we would begin to, wherever you may be, if you are on the side of just, God's calling you to something, God's calling you into something that you can't do on your own, that you don't have what it takes, whether it's physically, spiritually, mentally, financially, emotionally, whatever it may be, that God's calling you to it, but you also know that you're not enough. Rest in that and be okay with that, and be encouraged by that, because that means God's saying, I want to do something impossible with you. I want to do something miraculous with you. I want to do something courageous with you, and I'm going to use you in ways that you could have never experienced. And so be encouraged by that, and step into it, even though you don't have all the answers, even though you don't know what the next step looks like. Step into it. My prayer is that we begin to, as a church and as a city and as a country, we begin to step into places that God's calling us to, even though we're not enough. And then for the others, that what God's calling you to do, you are enough. But you're still scared and you're still afraid. Step into it. Begin to work through it, because even in those moments, even in those things that we feel like we're prepared in some sense or another, there's still that lingering fear. There's still that lingering thoughts in our head of, but what if? Know that God says, what you have and what you're bringing, I'll make work. I will make it happen. I will fill in the gaps. I will be what you need to be. I am enough, is what Jesus says to us over and over and over. And so be encouraged by that. Be challenged by that, and begin to just pray, God, show me that you're enough. Show me that you are enough. All right. Well, that's my thoughts this morning. And so let me more importantly, let me lead us in prayer and actually speaking to our Father and to our God about this. And so I'm gonna pray, get us started, and let you guys continue on throughout the day. Well, Lord, we thank you that you are a God of enough. You are a Father that has enough for me and enough for each one of us. Lord, thank you that you love us enough to, at times in our life, let us trust and walk on water. Do the things that we can't do on our own. Thank you for letting us experience those times, Lord. Thank you for those moments where you get to show us how strong we are, and how strong we actually are in our own abilities yet, but that you come in behind us still and propel us forward. Lord, I thank you for these seasons, Lord, and I just pray for each one of us this morning. I pray that today you would show us your enoughness. You would show us supernaturally how you come through and what you can do with someone like me, and that what you can do with a normal Friday afternoon, a normal Friday at the office, a normal Friday at school, a normal Friday wherever we may be, what you can do with just a normal Friday. God, I pray that you do the miraculous today. I pray that you do the surprise. You surprise us today with who you are and what you can do. Lord, we thank you, Lord. We thank you for this 21 days, this season, to be able to just refocus and to just look again and see who you really are. Lord, continue to be so sweet and so gentle and so vocal with us. We pray this in your name. Amen. Well, hey guys, continue on praying. Remember that tomorrow morning we have our worship time at Seacoast at 9 a.m. And so be at Seacoast Asheville for a worship service with us. Join with us. It is a powerful, powerful time. You don't want to miss it. It's not too long, but just come ready to pray. Come ready to worship. You guys have a great day. We'll see you. I don't know how to turn it off.